Hello YouTube and welcome back to Old Flads. This is Ace of Spades, this is the custom map review, and we're in the big city for today's episode. And it looks great, doesn't it? How about that? Now this map has been made by Eaden76, I think I got the number right. Yeah, it's definitely 76. And also the EarlofDaftwood, and they've done a remarkable job of recreating a map from a different game. Now, other than the guys that obviously made it, if you know what map this was, from what game it was as well, then please post it in the comments below, because I am going to be doing a competition to give away a copy of Ace of Spades. So if you know what game this map was copied from, then write it in the comments below, and then from the winners I shall draw one random person to take a copy of Ace of Spades with the Valentine's Day DLC gratis on me. So you can't say fairer than that. We're starting off with a giveaway. How'd you like them apples? Okay, so let's get back into the map. Now, the map itself is pretty busy, I must say. It's called Big City, but if we look from the bird's eye view, it's not very big at all. It really isn't that big. And due to the way that the spawns are situated, this is in multi-hill, by the way. Due to the way the spawns are situated, it becomes even smaller. And this is something that needs work on to make this map its potential best. I think is probably the best way to put that. Okay, so we'll cover this quickly, right? So the one spawn is here. This is one spawn for one team. And that's fine. As a spawn protection goes, these big buildings are actually perfect because they're very difficult to get up and they're very difficult to conquer. They're also very difficult to knock down as well. They have huge infrastructure at the bottom. So there's one spawn. Here is the second spawn in this building here. So yeah, that's quite close to each other. Now, I'm not worried about people sniping spawn to spawn. That probably will happen, of course, but I'm not concerned about that because firstly, it's pretty easy to block these windows up. And that counts for both buildings. And secondly, people don't really have the best sight lines from the top of these buildings. I mean, you do have sight lines, of course, and this one's pretty good. You can actually join up with the planes with the snowblower and have a really good sniper area. These planes, by the way, are amazing additions. I love how they've put them in. They obviously fall under the physics engine of Ace of Spades once they take a hit. But for the most part, I love it. I love the way that this works. Amazing stuff. And if you can connect them together, I mean, for zombies, could you imagine how good this would be in zombies? Getting up the top of this building and then connecting all the planes together and having like a skywalk, that would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. In fact, I haven't done that yet. I think I'm probably going to do that after I've done this video. So what we're going to be looking at, aside from that, let me cover this spawn thing properly. Spawn there, building in the way. The map is condensed remarkably into this area, and that comes from experience as well. I've played this in TDM and multi-hill. The map does get condensed into these very small areas here. That's a bit of a problem for the map itself because the map is considerably bigger than that area, and I think if a spawn was probably here and also over at the cinema, then you'd actually utilise the whole map. Now, I talk a lot about flanking in my videos, and this is no exception, really. Because of the way that this map's been built, apart from these flat areas here, those flat areas need some development, although I suppose they are supposed to be like an industrial area, so maybe not. There's a slag heap here. But if a spawn was here, you've got plenty of natural cover, but you've also got the ability to flank fairly early on as well. Now, the reason that flanking is so important, and the reason that I go on about it, is because if you don't have flanking routes in your map becomes straight line. If it becomes straight line, you literally force people into the middle of the map to just slaughter each other. And games really shouldn't be about that. Ace of Spades is different to how it was with regards to technical sort of ability when you move around maps. But you can still have the best games ever by using maps properly. And that means that maps have to be built properly, okay? There is still a very strategic element to Ace of Spades, whether you want to admit it or not, and if you don't adhere to that strategic element, you're basically going to get wailed on a lot. So I think that by moving those spawns, they open the map out, they give rise to the more sort of flanking routes, which are very important, and they allow the game, the map itself, to actually be played out on a far better scale, especially for things like CTF. That's almost vital for CTF, okay? It's just something to bear in mind. From a design point of view, though, I do really like how they've made all of it. These are prefabs, obviously, the majority of them. But I like the way they've been placed and they've been implemented. And the building itself does very closely follow to the map that I was talking about, of which I can't name, and I nearly did, with regards to our competition. With regards to the actual game modes that utilize this game, there aren't many. They've done it on purpose, and I think because of the way that the size of the map, it probably is better that they have limited some of the game modes. But I think you should try out as many game modes as possible when you're building your maps, mainly because firstly I'm scoring you on it, although that's not really a reason why you should do more game modes, but you should do more game modes just to try and entertain the idea for different game mechanics. Okay, if your map has lots of game modes, you will inevitably add in mechanical elements or buildings or structures that are going to alter gameplay elements in your map. It will therefore further develop your map and make your map into something completely different from what you first set out at. Now, if you don't want to make it completely different, that's entirely up to you. And please, by no means say that my rules are the standard. They are not. They are simply my ideas. But I think it would be something to bear in mind for future. However, on the whole, this map, it looks great. It's incredibly beautiful. The urban scenery, the urban construct pack, which is something that doesn't get heavily used at the moment, looks really good when it's implemented in this sort of setting. There is a little bit of the lag issue that we had in Tokyo Neon, so we might even be able to start narrowing down why it is caused by this. It might just be some of these buildings are causing so much sort of block use and causing so much open space between them that they're causing the problems. I don't know. That's just a guess. Anyway, so I think that sort of covers this map. This is Big City, and it really does look nice. So let's move on to the scores. Right, aesthetics. Well, I think this is probably a given. It looks great, doesn't it? These planes, the way that the buildings have been used, the fact they have an entire road network, an unbroken road network, is a very, very strong point for their aesthetics. Road networks are really important. I think a road probably needed to go down through there, however. Nonetheless, the fact that you could drive from one end to the other is a very big plus point in my book. I love that. I really do love that. I love the cinema, wherever it is. It's up this end, isn't it? Oh, are there two cinemas? It would appear that there are two cinemas. This one is obviously obviously the big one, and that's more for the indie films, I suppose. So I love how they've made it and how they've designed it, because I think that's actually 4 or 6. Is it 6 or 8? No, I think that's actually 4 prefabs stuck together. So I like that. I like how they've made that into something a bit more. I don't know what this is. It looks like an old gas cylinder thing. Have you ever seen them in towns? Those big round areas that are gas things. Anyway, I love it. So I'm giving it a 10. Straight off the bat. Let's not mess about. It's a 10. Right, creativity. Now this map has been heavily influenced. Well, it's been emulated. Well, it is an emulation of a different map. So with that in mind, it obviously can't score too highly. I'm gonna give it a 7 for creativity. I think a 7 for creativity. That takes up to 17. Okay, 7's not bad, but if the map is not an original, then you can't expect full points for it. I think that's fair. I mean, it looks slightly different because of obviously the construct packages, but yeah, I spoke to the guys that made the map. They're not even ashamed of the fact, and they shouldn't be either. My scoring on this is not indicative of a good map. My scoring on it is how I perceive it. Okay, usage of the map. When the spawns are changed, it will use all of the map because it's so small. At the moment, I reckon you only use about 60% of the map, which is really disappointing considering what they could have done with it. I think it needs further development across all game modes with regards to spawns and therefore usage of map. I'm therefore going to give it a 6, I think. Usage of map 6. Yeah, I think 6. 6 is fair. So that takes us up to 23. Game mode availability: CTF, multi-hill, TDM, zombie mode. To be honest, 4 is not enough for this map. I would have liked to have seen occupation, especially sort of around perhaps this point here, because you'd actually have to get to it with the bomb. That would have been quite cool. On the other hand, of course, you could have done it in the cinema. So I think occupation. So the game mode needs work on that. They didn't want them, so that's their choice. My personal opinion, it needs more game modes to fully benefit itself. So it's only a 4. I mean, we're not looking at the best score at the moment, unfortunately. So we were on 23. We're now up to 27. Longevity prediction. Now, longevity prediction is a bit of a strange one, and I think that with some minor tweaks, this map would actually be a very, very, very good map to play on. Considering it's an urban construct, it actually works really well as an urban construct as well. There's plenty of corners to look through. There's plenty of ways to move once you get into the map itself. And I think all it needs is spawn tweaks, really, and possibly the additions of some flanking foliage or buildings, just to liven up those areas a bit and allow for a bit more movement. But I think longevity prediction after some tweaks would actually be pretty good. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, I think, for longevity. I think this ball, once it's been tweaked, firstly because it looks great, secondly because it plays pretty well once it's been exposed, I think that's good. So we've gone from 33 to... No, hold on, we've got... Oh, God, I'm going to have to recount these now. Aesthetics, 10. Creativity, 17. Usage of map, 23. Game modes, 27. Longevity prediction of 9. 27 plus 9, 36. 36 is not a bad score, again. That's similar to what Avast got. Remember, we are looking and marking these against some very, very good maps. So if you feel that the score is unjust, then just bear in mind that the benchmark is very high at the moment. And these are only my points. You have to take no sort of bearing on this. My personal regard to this map, I'm going to give it a 7. I think it needs work, and I think it needs a few more elements added to it to make it a really great map. I do love how it looks. I do love the effort that's been put into it. So yeah, so we're looking at, so like I say, 36 out of 50, pretty good score. Not the highest score, certainly not the lowest score that we're going to see, no doubt. But well done to you guys. Thank you for making this map, and thank you for putting the effort in to make it as well. It must have taken a long time to actually get this together, and I'm really impressed with how it's been made, to be honest. That's great. So I gave it a 7. That's cool. So don't forget, into the competition in the comments below. What game was this ripped from and then subsequently recreated? If you know, then write in the comments, and the winners will be taken at random from the correct answers, and a copy of Ace of Spades with the Valentine's DLC will be your prize, announced next week in next week's review show. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I've been Old Flads. This has been Big City. Cheers and goodbye.